Okay, good evening. I heard 2 good evenings. I'll give it 3 times and then I'm going to give up and then everybody has to go home. Good evening. That was a little better. One more time. Good evening. Excellent. You can all stay. You passed the test. Welcome to Class 3 in our Ohio Cryptids Summer Reading Lecture Series. For those of you who are signed up for our summer reading program, there's a form in the back there if you want to get points for coming to this program. Just make sure to sign that on your way out. There's also a form back there if you want to register for the last Wednesday in this. After our last class, we're going to have a ceramics program. You can paint your own Bigfoot mug. There is a limited seating for that, so if you do want to sign up for that, that registration form's on the back there too. You don't have to be signed up for summer reading to participate in that. For those of you who did not sign up for our summer reading program, it's not too late. We still have 4 weeks left, and you get a point for, or 2 points for coming to this program. You just need to commit to reading at least 1 book by the end of the summer, and then you'll be able to come to our summer reading finale. We'll have lots of food and games and prizes there. So there are registration forms on the back of the table there. If you're registering, or if you're interested in doing that, you just have to turn in at least 1 reading log to come to that summer reading finale. And that is Wednesday, July 31st from 1 to 4 p.m. All right. A reminder that there is no program next Wednesday. That's the day before 4th of July, so we're going to skip that Wednesday. But then the following Wednesday, that's July 10th, we'll have part 2 of this class, which is other Ohio cryptids, or lesser known Ohio cryptids. And then July 17th, we'll have the last class in this series, which is researching cryptids and making plaster castings. If you stopped upstairs before you came down, there are 3 plaster castings, 2 feet and 1 palm with fingers in it. They're pretty cool. So we'll talk about that at the last class on July 17th, how to make those types of plaster castings of cryptids, evidence of cryptids left in the mud and other places. Okay, quick other announcements before we get started. For those of you who are new to us, if you need to use the restrooms at any time, it's a left and a left, and then down the hallway, the men's are on the left and the women's are on the right. The library does close at 7 o'clock, so if we go past 7, the double doors in the back will be locked, but the elevators will still be available to exit the building. And then finally, these programs are live streamed on Facebook and our YouTube page. So if you can't make one of them, or if you didn't make the first 2, you can always watch those online. And then finally, out of respect for our speaker tonight, I do ask that everybody silence their cell phones. And on to the show. Please welcome back our Cryptid Series instructor, paranormal investigator, and author of West Virginia's Paranormal Gateway, Fred Saluga.
Let me get this thing working here. Can y'all hear me?
We might have
Holy
to
hell.
do that.
Now, can you hear me? Still. Now, can you hear me? Uno, due, tre. What the? All right, I'm Fred. We've done 2 classes already. This is the 3rd class. First class we did was Mothman, I think. And the second class was, what did we do last time? Oh, Bigfoot was first, Mothman was second. And tonight we're going to do a couple cryptids in Ohio. I have to apologize because I was sick for a couple days and I really didn't get to do what I really wanted to do, but it's pretty good anyhow. And we're going to go over them. And if we do run out of time here, I got a couple other things I want to show you guys regarding cryptids, okay? So any questions before we start? Wow. All right. So first thing I want to talk about is the mud mermaids, all right? It's kind of interesting here. The mud mermaids are a cryptid that have been spotted in the muddy banks of the Ohio River. As I told everybody else before, when I'm typing, if I've had a couple, I might misspell something here and there. During the 19th and 20th centuries, these mermaid-like creatures are about 4 foot high and covered with light coat of chestnut-colored hair. The tales of the mud mermaids have traveled down the Ohio River. Okay, so the first time they was reported in 1894, which is, quite a long time ago. But since then, there have been several reports of these creatures in the wilds of Ohio and Indiana. Now, the problem there is, you get several reports, but we have no idea because nobody really wants to talk about them. There's probably about 50 people that see it and they never say anything. So this is why we have a problem with it. But the mud mermaids are fascinating cryptids that have captured the imagination of many. While there is no concrete evidence of their existence, the stories and sightings of these creatures continue to intrigue and mystify people. In the following sections, we will explore the history, sightings, possible explanations for the existence of these creatures. Okay, cultural roots. The legend of the mud mermaid has its roots in folklore of the Ohio Valley region. These people, the indigenous people of the area, believed the water spirits and mermaids. There were stories passed down through generations. European settlers who arrived in the area in the 18th century brought their own beliefs in mermaids and other mystical creatures, further fueling the legend of the mud mermaids. So these people already had their, whatever they thought they were when they came here. And then, like I say, they come here and they say, well, we got mud mermaids here too. So the first sighting happened in 1839, and a Pennsylvania newspaper reported on the creatures about 4 foot high and covered with a light coat of chestnut-colored hair that lived on the muddy banks of the Ohio River. Later accounts described the creatures as having human-like face and dog-like ears, with bodies resembling huge and amphibious lizards. Now, this is one of the interesting things about cryptids, and this is really what I want to say here. Okay, you got some people that say they're covered with chestnut-colored hair. Later, people describe them as having human-like face and dog ears and bodies resembling lizards. So again, you can't get an accurate description of none of these characters or none of these cryptids. Cryptids and characters, same thing. So over the years, numerous sightings of the mud monster, particularly in the southern Indiana region. Some accounts describe the creatures as aggressive and menacing, while others portray them as shy and elusive. Despite the effort to capture or study them, the mud mermaids retain a mystery, with many people still believing in their existence today. So here we have it again. Some people say they're aggressive and some people say they're not. So what really are they? We don't know. So their distinctive features. Okay, they have humanoid and amphibious appearance. They are typically described as having yellow skin and webbed feet at the end of their 4 limbs. Different sightings report the creature have vaguely humanoid and amphibious features. Some accounts state that their faces resemble those of humans, while others more like a reptilian. So again, are we talking about 2 different things or just one thing here? You understand what I'm saying? The reports of these things are never all the same. They're all different, okay? So reports of the mud mermaid size and proportion vary, but generally described as being about 5 to 6 feet tall or in length, okay? Now, in the beginning, we said that they reported them to be 4 foot. Now we're up to 5 to 6 feet, okay? Witnesses are reporting seeing them in and out of the water, with some accounts suggesting they're capable of moving in and out of the water and moving on land. So in conclusion, the mud mermaids are a fascinating cryptid with a unique appearance that has captured the imagination of many. While there is still much to learn about these elusive creatures, their distinctive features and reported size and proportions provide some insight what they might look like. Okay, so where do they like to live at? Okay, on muddy banks of the Ohio River during the early 19th century and 20th century. They've also been reported to have been seen in Indiana. The creatures are said to prefer murky waters with muddy bottoms and often found in shallow areas near the shore. Their behavior, mud mermaids are described as being about 4 feet. Again, now it's 4 feet. We was 5 and 6 feet. Now we're back to 4 feet and covered with a light coat of chestnut colored hair. They have webbed hands and supposed to be feet, and are said to be capable of swimming and walking on land. Now, if they're mermaids, it doesn't say anywhere where they really have legs. They're webbed feet, but they're not saying legs, they're mermaid-like. Okay, they're shy and elusive and tend to avoid contact with humans. There have been reports of the mermaids stalking people. Now they're stalking us. If we go down there, they'll stalk us. But these claims are unverified. It is also believed that the mud mermaids are probably nocturnal and are most active at night. They are also said to be territorial and defend their habitat against intruders, which all cryptids do that. Overall, little is known about the behavior and ecology of the mud mermaids, and much of what is reported based on anecdotal evidence. However, these creatures continue to be a subject of fascination of cryptozoologists and enthusiasts of the paranormal. So, now, notable accounts. Mud mermaids or cryptid have been reported in various parts of the United States, particularly in the Ohio River Valley or region. One of the earliest accounts of these creatures dates back to 1839, when they were reportedly seen in Pennsylvania. According to the newspaper, reports at that time, the creatures were about 4 foot tall, with chestnut-colored hair. Since then, there has been numerous sightings and encounters with these creatures with many people claiming to have seen them in the Ohio River and its tributaries. 1894, 2 Ohio newspapers reported sightings of the creature on a small sandbar in the Ohio River near Indiana. These mud mermaids were said to be about 4 foot tall and covered with hair and webbed feet and hands. So now we got webbed hands too in this. So according to the reports, the creatures were seen swimming in a river and climbing onto the sandbar to sunbathe. Can you imagine that now? Seeing a couple mermaids out on a beach sunbathing. In recent years, there have been several reports of them in the Ohio region. Some people claim to have seen the creature swimming in the river, while others report them on the riverbanks. Despite numerous accounts of these creatures, there is little concrete evidence to support their existence, which is same with all cryptids. You hardly can ever get any evidence to support it. You could see them, but there's no evidence there. Okay, there's very little concrete evidence to support the existence of the mud mermaids. Most of the reports and sightings of creatures are anecdotal in nature, with little or no photographic or video evidence to back them up. However, there has been few instances where physical evidence has been found to potentially link to these creatures. In 2015, so now we're getting up here, okay? A group of researchers found the strange hair-covered objects on the bank of the Ohio River. The object was about 4 foot long and appeared to be some type of mammal. While it isn't clear whether the object is related to the mud mermaid, some have speculated it could be some kind of evidence. I remember when that happened. But again, despite the lack of concrete evidence, many people remain convinced that the mud mermaids are real. Whether these creatures are actually a new species of aquatic mammal or simply a figment of people's imagination to be seen. Now, you have a lot of people seeing this thing. And I was saying, I went to Google to get a picture of these things, and they showed like us, they were human. So, you know, well, they're saying they're like that, and they're human, so I didn't get a picture, so I just went with it. Okay, so the mud mermaids are cryptids that have been part of folklore down through the centuries. According to the stories, they are mermaid-like creatures that live in the muddy rivers and lakes. They are described as being about 4 foot tall and covered with chestnut-colored hair and having webbed fingers and toes. They are said to be shy and elusive, only coming out of their hiding places at night to hunt for food. Many people believe the mud mermaids are real, and others believe they're just a myth. Despite the many stories about the mud mermaids, there's little scientific evidence to support their existence. Cryptozoologists have searched evidence of creatures for years and come up empty-handed. The lack of physical evidence, such as bones or DNA samples, hassled. Many scientists conclude they are nothing more than a legend. However, there are some who believe mud mermaids could be true. Some scientists point to the fact that there are many species of fish and other aquatic creatures that have adapted to living in the muddy environment. Is it possible that the mud mermaids could be a new species that has not been discovered? Until there is more evidence, however, the existence of them will remain a mystery. In conclusion, the debate between the mythology and science continues when it comes to the existence of the mud mermaids. Whether there are stories and legends about these creatures, there is little scientific evidence to support their existence. Until more evidence is found, the mystery of the mud mermaids will continue to intrigue and captivate people's imaginations. So this is one of the things we got. People see them, but nobody takes a picture. And everybody says, well, why can't you take a picture? If you're walking down a river and you see a mermaid, you're going to be startled. You ain't thinking about taking no damn picture. You're thinking about getting out of there, all right? And this is one of the big problems with this. So now they're in art and literature. Mud mermaids have been a popular subject in literature and art, particularly in the horror genres. These creatures are often depicted as vicious and dangerous with sharp claws and teeth. In some stories, they are known to lure unsuspecting victims into waters and never to be seen again. So here we go into a whole new spectrum with these things. One famous example of mud mermaid literature is the short story The Mud Mermaid by Theodore Sturgeon. The story tells of a young boy who discovers a mud mermaid in a swamp and tries to capture her. The story has been praised for its vivid descriptions of the creature and its environment. In art, mud mermaids have been depicted in various forms, from realistic paintings to more abstract sculptures. Some artists have created entire installations based on the creatures, immersing viewers in the world of murky waters and haunting melodies. Media and entertainment. Okay, so these they may not be for real, but they're really out there. There's people really looking at it. Mud mermaids have also made their way into the popular media, appearing in TV and movies, TV shows, and video games. One of the most well-known examples is the horror film The Mud Mermaid, which follows a group of friends who encounter the creature on a camping trip. In the video, mud mermaids have been featured in such titles as The Elder Scrolls Online and The War of Warcraft. Anybody know that? Anybody ever play that game? The War of Warcraft? Well, you know where it came from now, all right? In these games, players can encounter the creature while exploring underwater environments, adding an element of danger and excitement to the gameplay. Overall, mud mermaids have a significant impact on popular culture, inspiring countless works of art and entertainment. While their existence remains a mystery, the influence is undeniable. And we got one more thing here, real quick. Okay, belief. Despite being considered a cryptid, mud mermaids have gained a significant amount of attention from the cryptozoologists and enthusiasts alike. As a result, there has been an effort to protect the creature and their habitats. However, due to lack of concrete evidence regarding their existence, conservation evidence has been limited to raising awareness and promoting responsible behavior in water bodies. Community. The belief in the mud mermaids is primarily limited to local communities surrounding the Ohio River and its tributaries. These communities have passed down stories of these creatures for generations, with many still believing in their existence. However, the scientific community remains skeptical, citing the lack of evidence and the possibility of misidentifying known aquatic animals. Despite the divide in belief, the stories of mud mermaids continue to fascinate and intrigue people. Many enthusiasts have taken upon themselves to conduct their own investigation and research, hoping to uncover new evidence to support the existence of these creatures. Overall, the belief in the mud mermaids remain a topic for debate and fascination within the cryptozoological community. While there have been efforts to protect these creatures and appreciate their existence. So again, here we go. We got the mud mermaids, all right? All cryptid, I don't think they found anything with a cryptid. One of the things, all cryptids are actually paranormal. So you're not going to find any part of their body. How long have we been looking for Bigfoot? Last 50 years? We never found a bone. And everybody sees Bigfoot. So is there a Bigfoot or isn't there a Bigfoot? It's the same with these things. I'm sure people have seen them. If we could only get to the people who've seen them and talk to them. You know, back in the 1800s compared to now, we got a whole different aspect of interrogations and interviewing people. So I think it'd be good. Any questions on a mud mermaid? No? Well, nothing. Okay, Bessie, Lake Erie monster. Okay, one of Lake Erie's most iconic figures is Bessie, or the South Bay Bessie. Bessie has been spotted in the lake from Canada to Pennsylvania. Bessie is a name given to the alleged lake monster in Lake Erie. Okay, Bessie has been the subject of superstitious sailors, drunk, like that word, drunk tourists, newspaper hoaxes, and over the centuries. But the legend of the serpentine creature living in Lake Erie actually originated with the First Nation cultures. So that was back in the days when the Native Americans was first here. They're the ones that first seen it. First Nation groups in the Lake Erie region, particularly the Iroquois tribe, would speak of on-air, a water spirit that lives in the Great Lakes. The name on-air is a Mohawk word for snake. Okay, on-air is a horned, dragon-like snake that breathes both poison and fire. Talk about bad breath. Said to capsize canoes and devour humans, though the creature will sometimes spare travelers who make great offerings. Could Bessie and Ontario be one and the same? Bessie's relationship to Ontario is uncertain, but one thing for sure, Bessie has grown into a cultural phenomenon. Early sightings. The first recording sighting of Bessie, now, if you notice, these are all back in the 1700s when the first sighting occurred with these things. And then more recent sightings have occurred intermittently with the greater frequency in the last 3 decades. Bessie is reported to be a snake-like with 30 to 40 feet long and 1 foot in diameter. So that thing's got to be about that big, okay? If not bigger. Well, 1 foot, maybe not that big. So we got right here now in 1793, while shooting ducks north of Sandusky, Ohio, the captain of the sloop Felicity startled a large snake-like creature described more than a rod, 2 foot in length. 1817, the crew of the schooner reported a 30 to 40 foot long serpent, dark in color. Later that year, another boat crew spotted a similar animal, this time copper colored and 60 feet in length. They fired muskets at it and had no physical effect. So you can see again how these stories are changing. One of them said it was 2 foot, then the other one said it was 30 to 40 foot. Now somebody said it was 60 foot. Third incident took place near Toledo again, when French 2 brothers named de Rousseau encountered a huge monster on the beach, withering in what they took to be the death throes. It was dying. The brothers described it again, 20 to 30 feet in length, shaped like a large sturgeon, except now it had arms. So now this thing got arms. As we go on, it gets better and better. The story always gets better the more you talk about it. The panicked brothers fled the scene, and when they returned later, the creature disappeared, presumably carried off by the waves after its death. After all that was left of its presence were marks on the beach and a number of silver scales the size of silver dollars. Then in 1892, an extraordinary sighting took place by the entire crew of a ship bound from Buffalo, New York to Toledo. It was carried by the local newspapers. An extraordinary sighting took place, right here, Buffalo, okay. The crew, including the captain, saw a large area of water approximately 1/2 mile ahead of them, churned and foaming. As they approached, they saw a huge sea serpent that appeared to be wrestling about waters as if it was fighting an unseen foe. They observed the creature relax itself and stretch out at full length. Now they're saying it was 50 feet and 4 feet in diameter. We had 2 feet, now we're up to 4 feet. So this thing got to be like this now. It went from this to here. Okay. The brown creature's eyes were described as viciously sparkling, and now he had large fins. So how do we go about this? And how do we go from something looks like a snake? Now this thing got fins, it got sparkling eyes, So Crystal Beach near Fort Erie was the scene of another sighting. This time there were 4 eyewitnesses who watched for 45 minutes as a 30-foot, now it's 30-foot, creature with a dog-shaped head. Now the creature's no longer a snake, it's got a dog-shaped head. Okay? And pointy tail. Turned up as the swarm until it finally disappearing into the night. Now, a reward of $100,000 has been offered by the Lagoon Marina for the capture of Bessie, dead or alive. So now we go to the sightings up to now, okay? During 1960, Ken Gothic was fishing off a pier in Sandusky when he heard 2 rats. He threw rocks at the sound, and then saw a large creature rise from the water. He stated it was cigar-shaped now. So now it's cigar shaped. Measured 1 to 2 feet wide, and it pushed itself out onto the lake with 4 flippers. Now we went from 2 to 4 flippers. Then rested on a nearby beach. This occurred at 11 o'clock on a clear, calmy day. During 1969, Jim Snyder stated a serpent came within 6 feet of him near the South Bass Island in Lake Erie. He did not say how long the creature was, just that it was 2 feet wide. So we went back to 2 feet. 1981, Teresa Kovac of Akron saw a snake-like reptile with flippers. She stated it was so large it could have easily capsized the boat. And it seems to be playing. So again, you see how these things are changing with these cryptids. Everybody gives a different description of the cryptid, all right? Then you got Mary Landau and John Schaefer about an encounter with Bessie in the lake. She heard a rowing sound and saw what looked like a capsized boat. You know what's odd here? I got Glamoury, whatever it is, grammar, the spelling thing. I put it on last week and I'm still misspelling words. I don't understand that. It has nothing to do with the cores either. Was greenish brown and about 40 to 50 feet long. She realized that it was not a boat, but an animal of some sort. It had a long neck and was visible from the side. Now, nobody else ever mentioned the neck. Okay, they said it had a dog head and had this in it, but nobody ever said about a neck. Now it's got a neck. Okay, later that year in 1865, Dale Monroe spotted a sea serpent from Lorraine Ghost Guard Station. It was visible for 4 minutes, and he estimated twice the size of his 16 foot 32 feet. Okay, so 4 minutes, he should have had a picture of it. I mean, there's no doubt about that. 1989, Gail Gasher obtained a fish finder graph from the boat owner from his friend. The fish finder had a sonar reading of a large-shaped apparition, 35 feet long, and 30 feet under the water. So you see how this is changing. They keep on changing the cryptids, all right? During 1990, 4 reports of Bessie occurred. Bob Sirocco was jet skiing in Lake Erie when he saw a porpoise in the lake. However, porpoises and whales cannot live in fresh water. Bob said he recognized an aquatic air breather when he saw one, and the creature had humps and crazy spots. So now we're looking at something with humps on it, okay? Now, all the other time, nobody ever said anything about humps, but now in 1990, it got humps. It was very long. And another sighting occurred that year was they said to be 35 foot long and had a snake-like head. 2 other sightings occurred that year. Now, in 1995, Pennsylvania's largest lake reports an unknown creature began. The maximum depth varies depending on what part of the lake, from 1,300 feet to 490 feet. Lake Erie has no outlets and is strongly alkaline. Okay, the report stated in 95, but not getting no attention until 1997, when the video of the creature and a blurry photo was taken and even prompted CNN.com to publish on June the 12th, 1997. They published some stuff about it. The creature is said to be 30 to 50 feet in length and appears to be similar to Pliosaurus, I can't pronounce this another word, Ichthyosaurus or whatever, marine reptiles that lived at the same time as the dinosaurs. So now we're taking this thing back to the time of the dinosaurs. Okay, so we're seeing, you see how cryptids go here, all right? Now, okay, the Charles Lake Monster. Charles Lake Monster is a mythical creature that has been discussed for years. It is aimless, hairless, green-eyed monster, the amphibious. The beast is said to have big webbed feet and 7 feet tall. The first sightings of Charles Lake Monster was in 1959, when 3 teenagers claimed to have seen it on the shores of the Charles Mill Lake. But let's get back to Bessie here. So how is it that everybody that sees this thing describes it differently? Anybody have a word on it?
They're not seeing
That's it. Are they really seeing the same thing, or are we looking at something totally different? What it's saying here, we could have 15 different monsters out in that lake there. All right? So that's kind of interesting. And it's just, well, Bigfoot, when we look at Bigfoot, we see the same thing. Something 6 to 10 feet tall, 400 pounds, hairy, all different color hair, but it's always the same thing. Here, when you're talking about these things, man, everything's different. So, okay, now we're going to talk about the Charles Mill Lake monster. Anybody ever hear of him? No? Okay, Mill Lake monster is a mythical creature that has been discussed for years. It's an armless, hairless, and green-eyed monster believed to be amphibious. The beast is said to have big webbed feet and 7 feet tall. The first sighting of the Charles Lake monster was in 1959 when 3 teenagers claimed to have seen it since the shores of Charles Mill Lake. The creature has been described as a humanoid with massive webbed foot, glowing green eyes. The Charles Mill Lake monster is believed to be similar to the Loveland Frogman. We'll talk about him next week, which was also spotted in Ohio. The creature has been the subject of various investigations and studies, with some experts suggesting it could be a new species of amphibian. However, there is no concrete evidence to support this claim. And this is like I say again, this is one of the problems with cryptids. We got no evidence to support it. Everybody sees it, but we don't have no evidence. Despite the lack of concrete evidence, the Charles Mill Lake monster remains a popular topic of discussion among cryptozoologists and enthusiasts. The creature's existence continues to be debated, with some people believing it's just a myth, while others are convinced it's the real thing. The mystery surrounding the Charles Lake monster adds to its allure, making it an interesting topic to explore. Historical accounts. Okay, so let's get back where people first start seeing this thing. The legend, March 28th, 1959, 3 teenagers claimed they have encountered a large, bipedal, hairless creature with luminous green eyes and webbed feet. The teens described the creature as being armless and towering above them. After the encounter, the teens reported an unusual sighting which gained widespread attention, sparked interest in the existence of the creature. So again, we don't know how far away. And they say here it was 7 feet tall? Is that what I read here? Okay, so was it out of the water? They don't say, okay? So over the years, there's been several other reported sightings of Charles Lake monster with descriptions varying from a large hominid to a sea serpent-like monster. Now here we go again. We went from one thing to now we're going to a sea serpent, all right? Despite the numerous sightings, there has been no concrete evidence of the creature's existence. The Charles Lake monster has become part of local folklore and has gained significant cultural significance in the area. The creature has been the subject of many documentaries and TV shows, and like this here, even inspired a local festival. Now, we're seeing now that all these monsters and cryptids are having festivals, okay? Like Mothman, next week's the Bigfoot thing down in Sutton, West Virginia. Then they just had the one down there, the white thing down in West Virginia a couple of weeks ago. And everybody's, 1952. Braxton County Monster, that's a big thing now. They're having parties with that. So these things are all bringing money into the community, okay? And this is really what it is. Okay, the legend of the Charles Mill Lake monster is also spiked into cryptozoology and the study of hidden or unknown animals. The creature's elusive nature and lack of concrete evidence led to debates and speculation about its existence. Excuse me. Making it a topic for enthusiasts of the paranormal and the unknown. Overall, the legend of the Charles Lake monster continues to intrigue and fascinate locals and visitors alike, and remains an important part of the area's cultural heritage. Again, eyewitness reports. It's said to have green eyes, big webbed feet, making it opposite the amphibious. 1959, three young men from Ohio had a face-to-face encounter with the creature. They described it as an immense humanoid devoid of arms, sporting numerous green eyes and webbed feet. So a humanoid would be like us. So this thing stood up, but it has no arms, and I get webbed feet. The interpretations of the Charles Lake monster vary, but most depicted is a large hairy creature with two arms and orange eyes. Now, here we get into another thing now. Now we got another cryptid in Ohio called orange eyes. So is this and this one and the same? They say no, but then again they say yeah. So again, some believe that the creature is two beings, the Lake Charles monster and orange eyes, that were described differently. However, there's no concrete evidence to support it. Any questions so far? No? Am I boring? No. Anyhow, okay. Comparative mythology. Mystical creatures have been part of human folklore for centuries. Now, we talk about back in the day when they had dinosaurs and they had dragons. If you look around, back in the days, the kings and queens, these guys was fighting dragons. Were they really around? They say they were, all right? These creatures are often described as supernatural beings with powers and abilities. They are often depicted as larger than life, possessing incredible strength, speed, and agility. In many cultures, these creatures were believed to be messengers of the gods or guardians of the natural world. Comparative mythology and the study of these similarities differ between the myths and legends of different cultures. The field of study has revealed that many cultures share similar myths and legends about mythical creatures. For example, many cultures have stories about dragons, serpents, and other creatures that are associated with fire and destruction. So, could you imagine being around and you're walking down the road and you see something big, 7, 8, 9 feet, breathing fire? So they had to see something, all right? But what did they see? And this is the whole thing. This is where cryptozoology really gets you. I've been studying this stuff now for almost 50 years. And every time you think you come to find something, you get there and you say, oh, hell, now I got to look at this. So you can't really come to an answer. And this is why I'm really in this, because this really interests me, the way this stuff is, being an investigator, So mythical creatures have been part of human folklore for centuries, okay. Now, okay, so let's look at creature classifications. First one, you have dragons. These creatures are often depicted as having wings, scales, and the ability to breathe fire. They are usually associated with power, strength, and wisdom. They also flew. Okay, how many of you heard of Stan Gordon? Well, bless you, son. Okay, anyhow, Stan said about 3 years ago, a guy in Pennsylvania seen a dragon flying in southwestern Pennsylvania. It was about 15 feet long. It was flying over. Now, this only guy that's seen it was one. So really, could we take that as base? No. Somebody could have seen maybe it was an aircraft he's seen and he took it to be a dragon. I don't know. So, that happens. Okay, mermaids. These half-human, half-fish creatures are often associated with the sea and believed to have magical powers. A lot of people say they've seen mermaids. It would be interesting. Then you got unicorns. These creatures are typically depicted as having a single horn on their forehead and possessing magical powers. So unicorns are all over the place. Did anybody ever really see one? I don't know. Overall, mythical creatures continue to capture the imagination of people around the world. While many of these creatures are purely fictional, they continue to play an important role in human culture and folklore. And they do. Okay, so now, scientific explanations. Misidentified animals. One possible explanation for the Charles Mill Lake monster sighting is that people may have misidentified known animals. For example, some witnesses may have seen a large beaver or otter and mistaken it for the monster. Now, how could you be 7 feet tall? Did anybody ever see a beaver that's 7 feet tall? Or an otter 7 feet tall and no arms? They have 4 legs. Okay? Additionally, the green eyes reported by the witness could have been caused by reflections of the light on the water. So here we go, another thing altogether there. Another possibility is that some sightings of the Charles Lake monster were hoaxes and misconceptions. Some witnesses, now this is interesting here. Some witnesses may have exaggerated or fabricated their experiences, while others have been influenced by stories they have heard or seen in the media. In some cases, sightings of the monsters may have nothing more than a floating debris other than natural phenomena. And that's a lot of things. Like, okay, how many have been down to Salt Fork? You've been down there? Okay. You've been down there? Anybody else? No? Wow. Just Salt Fork, you all ought to go down there. That's a Bigfoot heaven down there. But now, you know, you go down there and people are actually making up stuff. Like, okay, Bigfoot has, you know, like X's. You got a big X out in the woods. That's supposed to be a Bigfoot. But you'll find a bunch of, you know, X's out there now. Well, did Bigfoot make them or did humans make them? And this is one of the problems. When you really start getting into this, humans will come in and try to make stuff to make you think you're seeing this stuff. And this is where the problem is. Okay. So Charles Lake Monster, literature and articles. Okay, the Charles Lake Monster has been a subject of interest in various articles and books. One of the most noted articles written by the creature by Rob Murphy on AmericanMonsters.com. In the article, he describes the monsters as a harmless humanoid with luminous green eyes and large webbed feet. So, the Charles Mill monster has been mentioned in several books on cryptozoology, including Lauren Coleman's Mysterious America. The book details encounter of 3 young men who claim to have seen the creature. Now, we know that these 3 guys seen it, but who else seen it? We don't hear that. You know, it'd be good if we could get names so we could talk to people, but we never get no names, okay? You guys want to come up and teach? Huh? You sure? I mean, you want to come up and talk, well, you're more than welcome. But you're sure as hell doing a lot of talking back there. Film and television. The Charles Lake Monster has not been featured in any major films or television shows. However, the creature has been mentioned in some documentaries and TV specials on cryptozoology. One such program, Monsters and Mysteries in America, which are in episode in 2013. Despite the lack of mainstream media attention, the Charles Lake Monster remains a popular topic among cryptozoology enthusiasts. Its unique appearance and mysterious nature continues to captivate the imagination of those who believe in the existence of mystical creatures. How many, when you was growing up, believed in a tooth fairy? I did. How many believed in Santa Claus? I still believe in Santa Claus. Matter of fact, I sit on Santa Claus's lap every year. How many believed in the Easter Bunny? I believe in the Easter Bunny. I hug the Easter Bunny every Easter. Tell you a real quick story. I was in a laundromat one day. It was right before Easter. And there's 3 little kids in there, and they're raising all kind of hell. And the mama said, if you kids don't shut up, I'm telling the Easter Bunny not to bring you nothing. And as you can't tell the Easter Bunny anything. So I'm sitting there, I walked up and I took my phone out and I got the picture of me and the Easter Bunny. And I said, I know the Easter Bunny. If you don't shut up, you ain't getting nothing. Them kids sat there like for almost 45 minutes and say one word. But again, people believe in mystical creatures. We believe in them until we get older. And then we lose the belief system. Do they exist? I mean, we don't know. You know, in the world they may. I have no idea. We don't know what's out there. Okay, the Charles Lake Monster has become a popular topic of discussion among locals and visitors alike. The sightings and stories surrounding the creature have attracted many tourists to the area, resulting in a boost to the local economy. The influx of visitors has led to the growth of local businesses such as restaurants, hotels, souvenir shops, which cater to the tourists. The increased revenue generated by tourism also create job opportunities for residents surrounding the areas. So, although we don't know if this thing's really for real, what's it doing? It's really helping the economy. And again, people are going to really do it to make it look like that so people come here. I'm going to go down there one day and see if I can see anything. So you got festivals. Okay, the Charles Lake Monster has several festivals and events in the area. The annual Charles Mill Lake Monster Festival is a 3-day event, 3 days, which celebrates the legend of the creature. The festival includes activities such as music, food vendors, and a parade. Visitors can also participate in a variety of contests, including a fishing tournament and a costume contest. The festival has become a popular attraction, drawing visitors from all over the country. So people from all over the United States come to this festival. So there's got to be something there, okay? In addition to the festival, there are other events throughout the year that celebrate the Charles Lake Monster. These events include guided tours of the lake, lectures on history of the creature, and even a haunted hayride. The event provides visitors with a unique and exciting experience, while also promoting the local economy. So overall, the Charles Mill Lake Monster has a positive impact on the community and tourism in the area. The legend of the creature has become an important part of local culture and has helped to bring visitors to the area. The festivals and events surrounding the creature provides visitors with fun and exciting experience while also supporting the local economy. So, now this is interesting here. How many of you heard of the Defiance werewolf? Huh? The Defiance werewolf.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I really never got into this until I read this, and this is cool. This is cool what I was reading. Okay, Defiance werewolf. Okay, 8422. Defiance is a small town that reported a rash of werewolf sightings in the early 70s, and its legend that persists to this day. So they're saying the werewolf's still down there. All right. But over 50 years has passed since the original reports rolled into the Defiance Police Department. Despite the turbulent political climate of the early 70s, the story caused panic. Rampant unsolicited reports ensued. Meanwhile, there was a werewolf on the loose. So anybody, what is a werewolf? Anybody?
A man that turns into a wolf.
Yeah. You know, a man that turns into a wolf at night. When does he turn into a wolf? Full moon. Okay, this is really what's cool about this story here. Okay, so outside the original news articles, not much exists in the way of evidence to find werewolf sighting. Unfortunately, any articles found these days consist primarily of conflicting information. The focus on theatrics, mystery, and whimsy has only served to dilute the sightings from the summer of 1972. The story has faced more than its share of scrutiny. Undoubtedly, small changes to the story over time has taken away from the authenticity it had. The legend has struck through the town, and locals still talk about it today. I think about 3 years ago, they have every year down in Defiance now, they have a Defiance Wolfman conference down there every year now down there. Okay, what is true that the legend stuck to the town and its historical capacity? Few people recall the incident. Those who do remember, however, do not recall much detail. Nevertheless, most of the town remains relatively unaware of the local cryptid. They're saying now that most of the people in that town never even heard of it, which is really interesting too. Okay. Werewolves. One common misconception about original incident is they did not happen during a full moon. This is what the police and everybody was looking at. They said, how could this be? The werewolves come out when there's a full moon. This stuff is happening before the full moon, so it wasn't a werewolf doing it. And I give police credit on that one. So common lore has suggested that the days surrounding Bessie are also indicative of the werewolf transformation. So while the moon was not full on July 25th, 1972, It was a waxing gibbous moon. For those who want the exact figures, it was 98.18 illumination, which means it looked full to the naked eye. For creatures, according to lore, were humans who've been cursed with uncontrollable curse of transforming into the beast under the light of the full moon. When I was a cop in Pennsylvania, we had a guy, and this is the honest to God truth. Every full moon, he would howl. He would howl. And, people would say, what? Man, he's seen psychologists and everything, and he just howled. I mean, I don't know if he had whatever he had in him, but we used to get called every full moon. We had to go down to his house, tell him shut up. But did he listen? No. And we would thank God when full moon left because we'd have to go back again. So, were creatures according to lore beast cursed with the uncontrollable transforming into beast under okay. These creatures in nature are paranormal in nature because they are humans with an affliction to transform them into a beast. So now they're paranormal. Unsurprising, legends existed in nearly every culture in history. How many of you watched on television Bela Lugosi? He was a werewolf. Who was the other one? Lon Chaney. I can remember, I'll tell you what, I'm 75 years old. I can remember when I was about 10. And I would, Saturday night, I'd watch Chilly Billy or Gallardi or whoever in the hell was on. And, my grandparents raised me, they was upstairs sleeping, my bedroom was upstairs. And I'd watch that show and I'd sneak to the steps and look around me and run up the steps, I'm figuring these werewolves are going to come and get me. They never did, thank God. But the appearance, they're good in popular culture. Throughout the late century, movies, television, literature have attempted to renew the vigor of the werewolf lore. And it's still on today. I mean, you got Werewolf in London, the movie. How many of you seen that movie? And you still hear stories about the werewolf all over the place. We talked about this one day where I live. I live in Hancock County down in West Virginia. We're the smallest county in West Virginia. And all the police down there know me. They call me Bigfoot because I hunt Bigfoot and UFOs. And they said they can't wait till we get something like this because they're going to give me the case. You go out and find him. I said, okay, give me your police car and you pay for the gas and I'll go find him. I got to get silver bullets though. Okay. So the two creatures tend to range from comic to horrific, and visualization is heavily reliant upon the gender in which they appear. Regardless of their portrayal, whether comical or frightening, they remain a product of the paranormal world of scientists remain highly skeptical. So how do we really know what these things are? Again, we never killed one. And this is one of the problems with Bigfoot. We know there's a Bigfoot out there or something out there, but we can't say it's a Bigfoot or whatever until we kill it. And that's the problem with the world today. We got to kill it and take it apart and say, oh my God, it's a Bigfoot. Yes, it is, Now, how many of you have heard of a Dogman? Okay, a Dogman is similar to a Bigfoot, but he got a dog head. And he stands about maybe 7, 8 feet tall. And I investigated, me and a guy comes down there with me, Danny, we investigated 2 cases of Dogman. And one is where Danny used to live, actually. And there was a guy who used to live up here. He went to Texas. He became a big shot with the oil companies, gas and oil. And he came up and was running rig and stuff up here. And he said that he rode around a curve going up a hill. And we got around a curve. He looked, he said the thing was standing in the middle of the road. He said it was about 8 feet tall. And he was on a motorcycle. He said his motorcycle stopped and he's looking at it. He says it couldn't have been no more than maybe 35 seconds. He said the thing opened its mouth and started growling. And when it did, he tried to start to bite back up again and he hit the horn. When he hit the horn, the thing took off running. So as we was talking last week about frequencies, if y'all remember, was here. Here we go with frequencies again. The horn frequency actually scared the Dogman. All right. So we had 2 or 3 of them down in Hancock County already. So For the past half century, reported dogman sightings have been rampant throughout the state of Ohio. The most widely acknowledged case of the Ohio dogman happened in summer of '72. Throughout the history of the Ohio dogman, it has boasted a surprising variety of different physical descriptions. Here we go now, it's different again. Witnesses never seem to agree whether presented as a bipedal humanoid or a beast walking on all four. And this is one of the problems. Now, we've heard stories where it would walk on four and then jump up and walk on two legs. So, and there's a lot of dogman sightings going on in Pennsylvania and Ohio and West Virginia, especially around where they're drilling for oil and that and gas. They say they're all over the place down there. Okay, outside of Ohio, the most famous dogman in America is the Beast of Bray Road. It was reported in Elkhorn, Wisconsin, and a neighboring region began in the fall of 1989. So now, is it a dogman or a werewolf? This is what they're saying about that in there. So Newton's entry on Dogman within his book, Hidden Animals, there is a mention of a 2004 encounter with unidentified witness. The witness claimed to have a close encounter with a large bipedal creature with a face that more resembled a dog than a human. Another witness report from August 2005 coming from Liberty, Ohio area described a sighting of a creature that was black in color and possessed the head of a large dog. When the witnesses were prompted to describe the creature, each person immediately mentioned the creature was very hairy. Outside of this vague description, the three witnesses gave similar reports of the creature's appearance. Doyle aptly summarized the physical appearance of the beast that he said at various sources. All reports agreed it was very tall, between 6 and 9 feet. And I always say, if I see a Bigfoot, I don't know what I'm going to do. All right? I will probably, maybe, if it don't scare me to death and have a heart attack, I'm going to try to talk to it. I see a dog, man, I'm getting out of there. I've never heard of a dog man hurting anybody, but I sure as I ain't going to be the first. So all reports agree they're very tall. It walks on two legs and also walks on four. But it has been seen to be hunched over on several occasions. Many reported that despite having the animal's head resemble the creature as a man, at the very least an upright wolf. Reports said that the creature was covered with hair and ran around barefoot. This is down in the Defiance. Now, it had a lot of hair and was running around barefoot. So now, strangely, in place of human feet, the thing in Defiance had hairy paws and wolf-like claws. Potentially, the strange part of the description by comparison was the creature seemed to be wearing blue jeans and a shirt. So, where have you ever heard of a dog man wearing a shirt and pants? Okay? And this is another one of the things down in Defiance that they were talking about, why they were saying they didn't think it was a werewolf or a dog man or whatever. Amidst the heat of summer 1972, the residents of Defiance, Ohio, suddenly began reporting sightings of werewolf. An alarming number of people claimed to see the large hairy beast running around the town, dressed in rags. Really? Such a surge in reports came in, it was too far great for the police to ignore. The myriad of versions of the myths and legends circulating about were both werewolves and dogmen create a preconception of what they are. This means that the layman will assume information they've gleaned from pop culture to be fact, despite source material and claims of fiction. And this is what happens, you know, you're riding down the road, oh my God, there was a dogman sighting in Bel Air, Ohio. I hear anything can happen in Bel Air, Ohio, to be honest with you. I mean, I used to be a DUI instructor. But anyhow, they probably got dogmen running around here. Shapeshifters, of course. But so people see something and they take it to be a dogman. Like we got a big thing down there where I live, we got a gargoyle in Pennsylvania. All right. And I investigated. I was there 2 times when they were doing the investigation. And now somebody sees something along the road. Oh my God, it's a gargoyle out. You know, they don't know. but they see something and then they say it's something. We don't really know if it is or if it isn't. So the myriad versions of myths circulating about both werewolves and dogmen create a preconception of what they are. This means that the layman will assume information they glean from pop culture to be fact, despite source material claims of fiction. And the news is bad with that too. When they put stuff on, there's a werewolf down in Bel Air. I guarantee you they're going to get 5 reports of a wolfman down here overnight. It's very possible. According to the news sources, the first encounter with the werewolf of Defiance happened about 4 in the morning on July 25th, 1972. Railroad work on a Norfolk and Western chain lines at the time of his first encounter. As Davis was connecting the air hose of 2 train cars coming on the ground, caught his glaze. 2 used hairy paws stood before him. No sooner did Davis raise his eyebrows in curiosity that the creature hit him with a 2x4. Now, why in God's name would a dog man or a werewolf hit somebody with a 2x4? Don't make sense, does it? Okay. Davis had seen enough to describe the creature as approximately 6 feet tall, hunched over and all hairy. Less than a week later, on July the 30th, Ted Davis and his colleague Tom Jones reported a second sighting of the creature. Davis faced ridicule from Jones, who believed the whole incident to be a joke amongst the crewmen. All of that stopped the night that Jones witnessed the creature for himself at the edge of the rail yard. Jones became a believer. He's seen it, so now, oh my God, I've seen it, you know. The creature disappeared in the bush at the same time as an unlucky grocer was driving home from the ship. According to the unknown witness, a large dog-like creature ran across the road in front of him. After Jones and Davis noted the creature's absence, they heard screaming from the car stop on a nearby road. And this is one of the main things too, like with Bigfoot and Dogman. Most people see them in a vehicle. Most people see Bigfoot going into the woods, but they never see Bigfoot coming out of the woods. Most people see Dogman going into the woods, but they never see Dogman coming out of the woods. Okay? So again, okay, y'all know what a shapeshifter is? Everybody? Who's to say that these things ain't shapeshifters and they can actually turn into us? We're looking for them, and they're actually looking with us for them. Standing there laughing. They're looking for me. Here I am. I mean, you know. So the Crescent News was the largest skeptic of a bunch and reported 2 of the incidents occurred last week and 1 last night. None happened during the full moon, despite the evidence to the contrary. In fact, the first incident happened the day before the full moon. So now we're getting into where we're saying if it's a werewolf, it had to happen on the night of the full moon. All right. Morrow suggested that the investigation should have been more thorough. In the original report from August the 3rd, 72, the Blades stated 1 man, 1 train crewman switching tracks, said that he was approached from behind and struck on his shoulder. In the same article, Davis is quoted as claiming that the creature ran away before Davis could say anything. This uncertainty questions the legitimacy of this claim. Was Davis attacked by the creature? In a follow-up article, the Blade discussed how most people in the area believed it was simply a hoax, a man in a costume, or rather a nut running loose. So the Wolfman turned panic. I mean, they had the police department going crazy. The problem with the Defiance Police Department seemed to face was not that people were reluctant to report what they had seen, but the panic caused by people who had not seen it to begin calling in due to their concern of the situation. All right. 1 woman called in which she had concerns due to her house being adjacent to the train tracks. She had not seen the creature, but stated that the report sighting had put her in a state of shock. And this is one of the major problems too. Okay. Well, we see a dog man outside the library here. There's going to be people come in here and they're going to be scared to hell to go outside or come in here because the dog man was here. And most police departments will tell you when they have a Bigfoot sighting down in West by God, Virginia, we got all rednecks down there. And they all want to get a Bigfoot head and put it on their mantle, you know? And again, I mean, the police say if they get a Bigfoot report, they're not worried about Bigfoot. They're worried about the crazy people with the guns down there going to shoot him. And half of them are jacked up and they might shoot somebody else. And that's the same thing here. So the original report by the local Defiance news outlet, the Crescent News, suggested they believed the whole thing to be a joke. Journalist Ellen Armstrong added humor to the incident when she reported it in her article on August 2nd, 1972. She went as far as to say that the police were armed with silver bullets and sharpened stakes. Well, now the silver's up pretty much. I don't know if I'd waste a bullet on one. I mean, it'd be an expensive bullet to shoot a thing with here. Okay, police remained alert. The Toledo Blade began running a series of articles starting on August the 3rd, 1972, on the strange sightings that popped up in Defiance just a week earlier. The reports baffled authorities. Unsure what to think about the incident being reported, they remained skeptical. Despite the large number of sightings reported, all the descriptions were vague. Police Chief Brecker was quoted as saying, "We didn't release it to the news when we first got the report about a week ago, but now we're taking it serious for the safety of our people." He approached the report with seriousness. Nevertheless, he examined his belief that it was simply a person wearing a disguise such as a mask. When probed about his thoughts of the incident, Becker admitted that he was inclined to think it might be a local person, since none of the Oakland people had anything like it. And in the case, the Defiance werewolf had been seen in the same area. They'd seen it in the same area all the time. It never went around town. It didn't go down 15th Street and then 30th Street. It stayed around 15th Street. Okay, the motive. Okay, they was unsure what the motive may have been for a man scaring people in a costume. From the standpoint of a lawman, Becker doubted the motive was robbery. He pointed out that the targets of these incidents were not the type to have a lot of money. With panic overwhelming, while the panic over the werewolf was overwhelming, it disappeared as quickly as it appeared on the morning of July 25th, 1972. Reports of the sighting ceased, but the legend lingers on, especially now that the information is already available in digital form. So it happened, they had it for a while, and then it stopped. They ain't had none since. So modern interpretation. At the time of the article in the Crescent News on July 25th, 2013, a few officers remained in the city from that time, but none seemed to remember the details of the case, and none of the reports remained in the police department. So they got rid of all the reports so nobody could read them. Joanne Barton, who worked the dispatch at the time, insists that people ask her about the incident fairly regular, and her response is always she does not recall it. At the time of asking, 40 years already passed, which makes sense to department worker. Floyd Seitz had much of the same response about what was happening. Were these true werewolf sightings or just a hoax? Since there was no physical harm, no physical evidence to fall back on, it is hard to say. One thing for certain, it was really just a man in a mask who had full many. It's easy to look back from a modern perspective and reason that it could have really been in a realistic mask. However, considering the technology available to time of prop mask, this is interesting, and physical effects, even large budget movies could not create altogether convincing. It is clear that the people truly believed they saw a creature and it was not simply a man. For if it was indeed a man, it would have had likely reports have been mentioned, a man in a mask running around causing mischief. So they say back then they couldn't have made a mask like they would have today. So was it really a werewolf? Was it a dog man or was it a person? We don't know. Any questions? No, none? Okay, it's 10 after 7, so we're going to have to make our mystery tour here. We're done for tonight. I thank y'all and hope to see you on the 10th or 13th. 10th. We'll have some really good stuff on the 10th. So. Thank you.